All right. It is 6 o'clock on this December 6th. I'll call this Town Council work session to order. Thank you all for being here, those in person and online. Ms. McKeag, we have a roll call vote, or roll call, please.
Mrs. Amos?
Here.
Mr. Reed?
Here.
Mr. Dwyer?
Here.
Mr. Parrott?
Here.
Mr. Yolen?
Here.
Mr. Hunter?
Here.
Mr. Hardy?
Here.
All right, first item on the agenda is the adoption of the agenda. Do I hear anyone who wish to change anything in the agenda or a motion to adopt the agenda as presented?
I make a motion to adopt the agenda as presented. Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Ayes have it. Do we have anyone who wishes to express a declaration of personal interest at this time? Not hearing any, we will move right into the finance report with our finance director, Ms. Julie Moore.
Good evening. See if I can turn this around. Just a second. Okay. You have the October financials or graphs in front of you. Ideally, the total income at this point should be about 33% of the budget, but as we've discussed before, that's not realistic because we haven't gotten our real estate taxes yet, and we haven't gotten our business licenses, so they're below that threshold, but eventually we'll catch up once those start getting collected. Besides that, the water and sewer is also down from budget, and that's because, again, we budgeted for ARPA funds to be spent, and we just haven't recognized any of that revenue yet. The revenue compared to prior year, we are slightly below last year, and this again is because some of the tax money is it lags behind, so we just haven't gotten that information to book it to this month. So that's why that is down. And also, as I've mentioned in the past, we had lease proceeds in the past where we've got a police car in where we're financing it. And so that once we get that money, that has to be recognized as revenue, but we haven't gotten that in. We haven't gotten any of the cars in this year because, as you know, I think they went on strike, so it kind of delayed everything. And we also haven't gotten the Longwood dispatch fee, but that we actually received in November, so you'll see that show up next month. And we also have not, so far, knock on wood, we haven't had to transfer any funds from the sewer fund to the general fund that we've had to do in the past. Expenses, but compared to budget, we are below the 33%, so that's always good. That means your directors are keeping a watch on their budget and making sure they're not overexpending. The expenses versus prior year, we're slightly below that. However, there are a couple of departments that overall we're below, but there's some departments that are a little bit over. And I think we've pointed those out before, like OpenGov, because we purchased that this year, and we didn't have that big purchase in finance last year. The recreation, we have the splash pad this year. We didn't have that last year. And then finally, in the water fund, we have some ARPA purchases that we didn't have last year. So that's why our expenses are up in those areas that they were not up last year. Any questions?
Any questions for Ms. Moore at this time? No, ma'am. Thank you very much. All right. Next item on the agenda is the meat of the agenda for today, which is the discussion ABM Building Solutions. We have the lease purchase financing information and the bundled energy solutions agreement. Mr. Davis, you gotta speak to this?
I'm just going to give a brief overview of both, which is, I think, A and B, if you don't mind, Mayor. I'll speak about the contract first. The contract has been reviewed by myself and the town attorney. We did make a few changes. All of those changes were accepted by ABM. And then for the lease purchase agreement, as you can tell from your packet, VML Vaco put out a bid. Bank of America won the bid. It is at the amount that we need. We plan on paying out of pocket the closing costs. Those funds We're due to close, it says the 20th, that's changed in that document since then. We had a meeting Tuesday. The closing date will be the 27th of December. If you all tell us to move forward tonight for next week, we'll have a resolution with all of the documentation of the lease terms as far as amortization and that type of thing in that. Those funds will go directly into our VIP fund as soon as and when we close. If you notice, VIP makes about 5.52% right now, and our interest on this loan will be 4.96%. Obviously, some of those monies will be coming out some of it will come out almost immediately to start the project as soon as the notice to proceed is done, and then after that it'll gradually come out. And so the goal is that we will by putting it in VIP, we will cover some of our interest cost on that loan over time. Other than that, we're here to answer any questions that you might have about either one of those.
And there was two proposals, one from Bank of America, one from Capital One. Bank of America had the lower interest rate, correct?
Capital One was from ABM. That's the lowest that they had on their end. We went through VML Vaco to see if we could get something that was better, and so they put it out to bid. And that bid came back as Bank of America was the lowest interest rate choice. And that would be for a 15-year period.
And then the loan can be deposited, invested into the VIP that we've invested that golf course money and seen good returns.
We've got two different investment pools. One is VIP and one is, I can't say exactly golf courses in the VIP, but we do have two investment pools, but this one would go into the VIP investment pool.
Do we have any questions for Mr. Davis at this time?
Is that rate locked in for the duration of the loan?
It is a fixed rate.
I have one question, and I brought it up to Mr. Davis after our last meeting. Some of us in the past have heard that we had some buildings that we need to maybe look for new ways of getting other structures erected because some of the buildings were terrible. So I asked Mr. Davis, instead of us make sure that we have gone through the buildings, such as the town shop. We kept hearing the town shop, we needed to replace it or what have you, for whatever reason. So I asked him to get with the staff and come up with what they can, because there's no need of spending money for the next 10 years and then we have to replace a building afterwards. So, and I'll let him come up with, or let you all know what he came up with.
So the history, as I understand it, I wasn't here for all of it, obviously. The history that I get from it was originally the plan was to build a brand new public works facility off of Doswell Street. That came at a certain number. That was before my time. I wasn't here for that. What I was here for was a few months after I had gotten here in 2017. A company called Thompson and Litton was hired to look at how we could enhance or build what we could do at the existing location. And at that location, it took into account all the way to the corner where the house is now, where the Piedmont Veterans Council is, which we own the property. And it would have shifted some of the things in that direction. And so it would have been a new separate facility, if I don't have the drawings in front of me, for mechanics bays. It was more of a once, it appears, and in conversation than it was needs. I've talked to both the director and one of the assistant directors of Public Works. I don't none of us have stated that there is a need to build a brand new one. Does the existing one need a facelift? Sure. I mean, we have buildings that need to be, painted or new roof, or can we make the inside better as far as from an aspect of in offices and replace floors as far as like the LV flooring or new carpet and those types of things? I think we definitely can over time, and those can be capital items in the budget. The only thing that was mentioned to me that would need to really be replaced, which is probably it's over 30 years old, I probably is an estimation, is that there is I just call it a lean-to shed all across the back, if you've ever been to Public Works. I mean, it's held up by old traffic poles and things like that. There's no windows left in there on the backside. So yes, would I suggest that at sometime in the future, we probably tear that down and replace it with something that would be better? Today you can buy those prefab, just like they kind of put up out at the airport. They put up the metal, and then they studs and everything, and then it's nothing but metal wrapping that goes around it, and lasts a lot longer. And so, that can be done. But from a building standpoint, a safety standpoint of the existing, I don't see that. And so, I think the energy efficiency moving forward is a good thing for that building. And I think as the department decides what they want to remodel or redo at different points in time, I think we can do that.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. Davis at this time? How much time would you think that the staff is dedicated to this project on our end, getting us to this point, just out of curiosity?
Well, we made contact with them over a year ago. I think it's been, don't hold me to this, 13 months, maybe? 13 months. Different times, there's been different amounts of time assigned to it, but there's been a lot of work on both sides. Many hours.
Yeah. I will say, like, looking at asset management plans, and we talk about big infrastructure changes around here, this is, efficiency changes. Some of our big asset management changes we talk and have talked about, whether it was in the council retreat or various things, are underground. And I think those are going to be expensive projects. And we've got two big intersections I know scheduled to be dealt with. And so I think our public works folks will be busy with those projects. And so having this bundled into a neat bundle and being able to invest the money and seeing a return and having the guarantee, if I remember looking back, there's a guarantee that if we don't meet some of those savings, then ABM cuts us a check to cover the difference.
Yeah, if you're wondering why it's probably close to, I don't know the exact number, 100 pages long, is because a lot of that is holding both of us accountable to, if you notice, I'll just use one example. In there, it is when we change the HVA systems and we put in these set parameters, we'll be tested on whether we keep it. The whole basis is we're going to keep it between this range of temperatures in these buildings to meet those efficiencies so that we are holding to our side of the deal, right? I mean, we're just not letting people continue to push up. And so if we do that, what they're saying is then those numbers that they gave us should work and we should see that savings. And if it doesn't, then yes, that's when they would cut the check. That's just one example. I mean, but it's all in totality.
All right, any other questions for Mr. Davis at this time? Not hearing any. Do you need anything else from us?
I just need to, I mean, that we're gonna move forward,
Good to know.
and I'm gonna bring you next week a resolution for allowing me to sign the contract and approval of the contract. And the biggest one is, the other side is that, they've gotta move pretty quickly and, for the closing, so, the bond council's gotta get me information that's agreed upon by Bank of America. I told him by tomorrow, close of business, so Mary's not rushing on Friday. And so they draft the resolution and have all the supporting documents for you to know what you're getting. And then after that, I have a lot of signatures down the road that you're gonna approve for that, so.
Do you need a motion from us to move forward?
I'm fine with, as long as I don't hear any no's, then that's my cue that we will. Just don't surprise me next week, please.
Everybody, general consensus, move forward to next week? All right. Thank you, Mr. Davis. With that, we will move to the town manager's report. Do you have anything else for us?
I do. I have 2 requests and 1 reminder. One request is our work session falls on Wednesday, January 3rd. We're off that Monday. It's a holiday. Prior to that, you're going to have, this is the time of year where people take the last little bit of time they have. You're going to have a small crew of people working. I don't know that we'll have a lot of material for you to have a work session. So my first request is that council look at canceling the work session for January. The next request is that we move the regular meeting the following week on January 10th, same day, that we just move it up earlier to 6 o'clock instead of 7 o'clock. And that is so that we can be community supporters. And there's several people that I know have tickets to the Longwood University basketball games. And they are playing an arch rival that night at 7 o'clock in JPB, and that would be Radford University. And we need to make sure, hopefully, that all of us can be there in case there's any Radford folks that come to town, that we took the time to do our business, but also to make the game in support of our college like theirs. The third is reminder, Christmas luncheon is December the 14th at the Fireman Sports Arena from 11:30 to 2. So please come and join us. That's it. Till next week.
Thank you. We good with?
You don't need a motion for the 3rd, do we?
No, for missing the work session. No, I think as long as we're in agreement, it's all right. And the 10th is just everybody all right with showing up at 6 o'clock. We'll just have to text Tommy.
Yep.
Mr. Perry.
That's right.
We gotta
Mary
put it,
needs to remind
we gotta put it
us.
in the paper too,
Well,
right?
she'll just
She'll
have
put it in
to,
the paper.
she'll have to put a
She'll have to
new,
put a
you know.
notice, yeah. But yes, if you'll send a reminder out to us on the 10th, per usual reminder.
As she always does.
That's right.
Thank you.
All right. Any other comments at this time from anyone on the dais? Not hearing any. I'll say we did all receive an email from one of our constituents who praised the comprehensive yearly finance report, and it was one of our frequent contributors, and he just heaped lots of praise upon the report and how well laid out it was and informative, and how happy he was to see all the great things happening in the town of Farmville. So once again, well done. I know we said it last time when we did the audit and the comp report, but well done again. It was noticed by more than just us. So that's always good. You got to sing those praises because we hear enough of the alternative. All right, next on the agenda, we have a closed session. I don't believe we'll have much business after the closed session at all, but Mr. Yolen, will you read us into the closed?
Mr. Mayor, I move that the Farmville Town Council convene a closed meeting pursuant to the Code of Virginia in accordance with the provisions of paragraph A.1 of section 2.2-3711 for the discussion of the performance of the clerk of council.
Second.
Motion and second. Ms. McKay, can we have a roll call, please?
Mrs. Amos?
Yes.
Mr. Reed?
Yes.
Mr. Dwyer?
Yes.
Mr. Parrott?
Yes.
Mr. Yolen?
Yes.
Mr. Hunter?
Yes.
Mr. Hardy?
Yes.
Thank you. We'll be going to closed session. See you when we come back out. Mr. Yolen, will you read us out when you get a chance?
Whereas the Farmville Town Council has convened the closed meeting on the date pursuant to an affirmative recorded vote and in accordance with the provisions of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act, and whereas Section 2.2-3712 of the Code of Virginia requires a certification by the Farmville Town Council that such closed meeting was conducted in conformity with Virginia law. Now therefore be it resolved that the Farmville Town Council hereby certifies that, to the best of each member's knowledge, only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements by Virginia law were discussed in the closed meeting to which this certification resolution applies. And only such public business matters as were identified in the motion convening the closed meeting were heard, discussed, or considered by the Farmville Town Council.
Second.
Motion and second. Mr. McKay, we have a roll call, please?
Mrs. Amos?
Yes.
Mr. Reed?
Yes.
Mr. Dwyer? Mr. Parrott?
Yes.
Mr. Yolen?
Yes.
Mr. Hunter?
Yes.
Mr. Hardy?
Yes.
Thank you. If anybody doesn't have anything else to say, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So, second.
Motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Ayes have it. See you next time.